All right, we're live. What's up, Julius?
How you doing today, Richie?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Yeah.
good. Thanks for being on the show. This is Seven Figure Commissions, where we work with sales pros, insurance agents, mortgage brokers, just brokers in general, salespeople who want to get better, who want to get to the next level. So if you're in sales, if you're a broker, if you're an agent, if you're an entrepreneur, and you want to improve your game, this show is for you. Julius is an insurance agent out of New York. He works for a company called Bankers Life, and he went to Syracuse University. But this individual is driven. He's ready to go. He's on here because he wants to get better. He also wants some exposure. He wants to share some of the good things he's doing. So, Julius, man, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. So let's just quick jump into, if anyone's watching, they don't know who you are, real quick, how did you get into insurance?
So basically, I graduated from SU and kind of didn't know where I wanted to go in life necessarily. I was always
Okay.
questioning where I wanted to go and all that. I had a family member that talked about going into insurance. My grandfather was an insurance agent himself for a
Yeah.
period of time. I didn't know about that till later on, probably closer to his death. But I found out
Oh,
that he
sorry
was
to
doing
hear.
insurance. No, that's all good. It was all the will of God. But however, I got into it. I started focusing. I started studying, and then something just hit to me. Maybe this is the way I have to go, or this is the way I should go, probably. Then I found out LinkedIn. There was some kind of company called Bankers Life. I didn't know anything about it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I had seen the building and location millions of times. I passed by it, walked in for an interview, and that's and the rest is history.
Nice. Okay, cool. And so how long have you been an insurance agent for?
So I've been since July of 22. So do the math there, probably about 7, 8 months so
7, 8
far.
months. Okay, awesome. All right. So you're new in the game, but you're grinding, man. Like we chatted with you beforehand. You're a grinder right now. So I want to dive into some of the stuff that you're doing, how you're building yourself up as an insurance agent, and then we'll kind of break down some of the things you're doing and see where you can get better. And so for all of you that are currently watching right now, definitely make sure to comment below if you have any questions. I'll ask Julius. Or if you have any, thoughts on the conversation in general, make sure to communicate, comment with me. I'll show them up on the screen because I want to hear from you. So, Julius, let's just talk about your sales process right now, man. Like, how are you currently getting leads? What does that look like?
So when I first started, basically, um, my higher ups were sending the leads. They would pay for the leads. I would just have to call them. I'd have to reach out to them, and that's how I booked them. A lot of times, those are how I got the leads. Um, and in the beginning, I was getting a few here and there, but some stuff was falling off. Some stuff wasn't sticking necessarily. So that's when I began to focus on the difference between the cold and the warm leads, basically. And
Yeah,
warm leads basically means people that you know about. Do they know
right,
that you're selling insurance? Some
right.
people did, some people didn't know, and I kept it on the low a little bit. I was one of those kind of secretive kind of guys, but then I had to let people know this is what I'm doing, and here's
Hmm.
how I can help you out. So once I got some of the warmer leads, basically, they helped me out and they helped my business out much better. So
How did you
really,
get how did you
yeah,
get warm leads? Like how did you get your cold leads and how did you get your warm leads? Start
cold
there.
leads come from the higher ups. The agency pays for that, but warm leads basically the people you know. If you got family, if you got church members, if there's people on the job or
Okay.
people from your old job or something like that. Warm leads basically means the people that are around you more often, and they want to do business with you most likely because they know who you are. You're not just some stranger coming into their house. So
Got it.
that's the difference.
Okay. So you've these first 8 months you've really been tackling like friends, family, people you know, like that kind of stuff.
Yes,
Okay. And then cold leads are do you purchase those yourself or does your company give those to you?
you can. I haven't though. I haven't yet. I
Okay.
probably
So
will
you
get to that area later on.
okay. Got it. So 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 right now, how are you doing any type of like advertising or marketing or anything like that? Or are you like what's your current like advertising or marketing strategy?
So for right now, it's funny you say that. Uh, my higher ups, they've been talking to me about getting further into the community, and literally just this morning, by the way, I was downtown, basically just going into different businesses and telling them who I am on full financial planning, what we do, and what we have to offer. I send my resume, my business cards. So really, it's more of a word of mouth kind of thing. We don't really have like commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or it's just getting out in the community, let people know who we are and how we can service them. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now, and that's what I'm trying to build upon. So,
Okay. So your activities right now are you're walking into, you said businesses?
just some small businesses downtown Syracuse specifically. It's a bunch of different areas, a bunch of different locations and offices, basically, and they don't know who you are. You don't know who they are. You learn a little more about them, and that's your time to shine and teach them, show them about you and what you're able to do. So.
Yeah. I like it. Okay. Are you doing any other type of marketing besides, the business, friends, family, that kind of stuff, and then as well as like the businesses?
Nothing at the moment though, but I'm always willing to learn anything to grow my business, anything to help somebody else. I'm
Yeah.
more than willing to learn it.
I love that. Okay. Do you make calls? Like, do you also call, like, make certain amount of calls every day or on any type of leads that you have?
Yeah. So basically, one of the strategies I learned, I believe it was Tony. No, not. It was I keep forgetting his name, but Cody Askins. That's what his name. Cody Askins came up with a 12-point plan, basically 12 points of contact. Basically, you call your lead 3 times one day, twice the second day, and then one time the third day. You send a text and you send an email. And what that's supposed to do is hopefully that's 12 points. You'll be able to reach them in 12 or fewer times. And then that's how you reach your lead, especially the
Yeah,
calls.
for sure. Yeah, I've definitely heard of that. I mean, I think in today's day and age, there's so much advertising, there's so much marketing, there's so
Yeah,
many things in our face all day, every day. We have to really be able to touch people and provide value. So
exactly.
now, when you're doing that, are you doing that on the cold leads that you get from your company, or are you doing that with the businesses or anybody that you kind of connect with?
So mainly the code, and the reason why is because a lot of times they just think you're a spam caller. They don't really know the number. They're like, who's this dude? Just who's this scammer? Who's this guy? Just they think because a lot of calls out there. A lot of those calls do exist, and a lot of people
Right,
are not like don't see your best interest at heart. You know,
for
so they
sure.
just assume that you're one of those people, and you got to explain to them that's not what we do. That's not who I am. I'm here to actually be an asset to your life and not just a liability. And
Okay.
so, basically, the cold ones, the people that don't
Uh
believe
oh.
people, you're going to find yourself doing that with.
Gotcha. Okay. So on average, like how many, I know you do three, two, one, but let's just use whether you make three calls or two calls or one call, depending on the day. Let's just use the contact as one call, this one contact.
Yeah,
How many contacts are you reaching out to or calling per week right now?
per week. So probably, most likely, I could call about 50 to 100 a week. Most likely, I could see myself doing that. And mainly that's just because not everybody's going to pick up the phone. Not everybody
No.
is going to suggest say yes. Some people push you off. Some people say follow up with me later on. You get a bunch of those, so you have to constantly be building up your schedule. Because you're not building up your schedule, you're not getting into houses. You're not getting into houses. You're not able to sell. You're not able to sell. Enjoy sleeping in a bunk bed or or something like that. You always gotta be active. You always gotta be on your
For sure.
toes.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing, especially with them. But then
Yeah.
also, like I said, that's just the cold market. Get into the warm market, and if you don't have a warm market, network basically, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm at right now.
Okay, so I want to just hit on these calls because I think, and then I will hit on the warm because I think the calls is something that a lot of people listening to experience this. Um, in the last, let's say, in the last week, how many total? I know you said 50 to 100, but let's say if we were to take the last week, how many calls do you think you made?
Probably roughly about a good 200. I've been slacking just
Dang,
a little
good
bit,
for you,
but
man.
yeah,
50 to 100 to 200. That's good.
I've been slacking a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, and part of that is just because my week's been busy, and part of that is um, just one thing is taking up a little more time than usual, and that's going to happen every now and then. I understand, but the key is the consistency. Basically, if you
Yeah,
haven't been phoning necessarily one week, get back on the phones as soon as you can and build up
yeah.
your calendar.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing. When you feel like you're in a slump, get back on the phones and then do what you need to do.
How do you get back on the phones? Because a lot of people will get in that slump or they'll miss a week, and then getting back on the phones is really hard. How do
It,
you go about doing it?
I can tell you right now, in the early stages, it was hard for me, and part of that was, I think, in my case, a big issue was I would get excited about, say, one potential case or two potential cases that were high in value, right? Something happens later along the line, it doesn't go through, or say after a while something happens, they're like, oh, I don't want the insurance, and we'll probably talk about that later on. But basically it plays with you mentally, right? And you're like, how is everybody else? How are all these people? We got one of our top agents is making six figures and he's killing it in the game right now. How come
Mhm.
he's making all this and I'm where I am? And I fall into that slump of, oh, this is where you need to. This is
Mm.
what's happening, and it's just like, what am I doing? The biggest thing is for me, was getting back into the gym. For me, it's finding time to rest, finding time to basically go off for a second, come back, get back on the phones, get back on calling. You know, if you stay on the phone all day, I'm not saying do that. You obviously have a life. You know, after a while, take some time to yourself, come back to the phones, get
Yeah.
back to emails, get back to texting. In my case, I even sent letters. I'm not even gonna lie. I sent a ton of them.
Yeah, that's good.
My
Okay.
I think my receptionist is tired of all the stamps she had to waste. But I was doing it all. But
Okay.
it's basically taking some time to yourself, gathering yourself up. Maybe you've had a few rejections, some people not interested, hanging up, or something like that. Take some time, take a break, just get right
Okay.
back to it.
I love it.
Because
Okay.
yep,
It's so important, man. It's such an important thing of being able to get back to the next play, right? Which is
right,
back on the phones. All right. So last week, 200 calls. And that's per contact, right? I'm not talking about
yeah,
triple dialing or double dial.
right.
Like that's per contact. Okay. Of those 200, how many did you actually connect with the right person? So the person that actually, of those 200 calls, how many connects did you have with the right decision maker, the right person, not like the kid or someone that's not involved, like of
That's
those 200?
that's a good question, honestly. Um, and it's weird, right? Because at first you think uh maybe about, man, I should get maybe 10 or something like that, and then the number dwindles to about 7 to 6 because some people, they cancel on you or something happens, or
Yeah, but don't worry about cancels or anything like that. Like, don't worry about any of that. Just how many of them were actually like potentially the right person? They answered the phone, and it
yeah.
was the person that could make the decision. How many of
I,
those?
I would say you get about a good 10 to 12, but that's basically the thing, right? The good potential, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So you
but
said out of the 200, you got about 12.
yeah, because it's interesting, right? Because people people are funny,
For
or
sure.
they act like they
What's
don't
up,
hear the
Kiki?
phone
By the
ringing.
way.
They act like they don't hear the phone ringing. I'm not gonna lie, I do it too, right? I'm very guilty myself. I know there's a number calling me right now, like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna let this ring and everything like that.
For
People do
sure.
that, and
I
so
actually turned off unknown.
yeah, yeah, I turned that off too. It's just a habit that we do, and
Right.
I'm guilty of
All right.
hanging up on people. I'm guilty of doing all the things that basically come back to bite me. But
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
Okay. So of those 12 connects, how many of those turned into booked meetings? Don't worry about whether if they showed or they didn't show or they canceled. Don't worry about that. But how many of those 12 connects actually turned into a booked meeting?
Probably around maybe about 7, maybe about 7, I would say.
Okay. And then how many of those 7 showed?
7, about, I would say about 5. And the reason why I would say that is because something that I learned later on about qualifying. We have
Yeah.
an agent basically runs a course. He talks about the importance of qualifying the suspect, right? I don't know, that's a weird language.
Prospect. Yeah. Oh, you
But yeah,
say
but he
suspect.
specifically he calls them. It's called qualified suspect. It is prospecting. You're right, but basically qualifying, basically finding out not just the name and asking them, "Oh, can you come over?" But no, but basically getting to know who you are talking to, getting to
Right.
understand them, and basically build a connection before you even walk into the house. I wasn't doing that initially, so I'd probably book about 15, only about 6 or 7 would show up. And because I was just focused on getting them on the phone and just booking the appointment, I wasn't really invested.
I see. So let me ask you a question. On that initial phone call that you have with them, do you book another discovery call first and then on the discovery call book an in-person meeting, or are you doing that discovery on the initial call?
So basically the initial call,
Okay.
usually that's a big thing.
Okay, so you got much better at the discovery and then booking the meeting from there. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So 12 connects, 7 meetings booked, and you had 5 showed. Okay. Of those 5, how many of those ended up turning into clients? Or in your process, do you have a second step after that initial show, or is that initial show where you potentially move forward with the client?
It honestly depends on the fact finding, right? Um, every Not everything is booked one way or another. When you walk
Yeah.
into one house, it's going to be you're going to learn some information, and that's because people are different. Everybody's got a different situation, so you have to decide what is something you can close on right then and there. What is something that you're going to need some time on? You're going to need to really investigate and do proper fact finding, collecting the right amount of data to provide to the client in probably the next week or two. So,
Got
honestly,
it. Okay, so of those 5, how many became clients?
I want to say clients or customers. I'm just playing. I'll elaborate on that later. But I would
No,
say
go. What is your? What do you? I'm interested. What do
I
you
learned.
mean? What are the difference for you?
No, but I had to learn. So clients basically means they build a connection, and you can see potential business in the future. Customers just want what you have. Just take what you have, and just move on about their day. Yada yada. And it's dangerous if you got a heavy load of customers than you do clients. So I guess clients, it would have to depend. Um,
Let's just say purchased from you of those
a
5
purchase
that
from you, I
showed.
will
Yeah,
say, let's just say,
I love your mentality. By the way,
yeah,
I like that. I like that because you
a
want
lot of
clients.
this just comes from learning. I tell you, the people that I work with, there's it's a great group of people to work with. So
Yeah,
they're teaching me a whole lot, and I'm learning a whole lot through the company that I'm working with and
dude, I love
the
that,
other
man.
agents. So I
Yeah,
love the fact that I have that community. I'll say about 4. I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm so stuck on this week right now, but I think
so 4 of the 5 that you met with ended up becoming purchasing from you.
yeah,
Dang, that's an 80% close rate. That's
yeah.
really good. Cool. What do you think contributed to that?
Like I said, I think it's the fact that I'm qualifying. Um, the fact that I'm qualifying on the phone, the
Yeah.
fact
How
that
do
I'm
you
getting to know my client.
Yeah, I love that, man. What are you doing to qualify? Like, what's your
So,
process for qualifying?
so,
Because
so the way that I was taught to me, the definition of a qualified suspect is an individual who you know their name, their number, their career, and how much they're making. And usually you can tie how much they're making in their career together. Basically, you can lump that. So basically talking about who they are or what they do for a living, basically, or if they're retired, what they did, basically. So who knows? Because then you find out, oh, what kind of, say, pension plan or what kind of retirement plan they have. It gives you a somewhat of an idea, so you can develop a case. But also, then that's you don't have to stop there and just figure out what they did for a living. You can also find out more about the children, find out more about what they like to do on their spare time. Basically, just getting to know the client. That's the essential thing. But the definition of the qualified suspect, the way that I was taught: name, number, what they do for a living, how much they make.
got it. And then, is there anything else that you qualify for to better prepare you for, like, for getting the actual meeting booked or getting them to show?
Oh yeah, you also find out if, say, the lead that you have gives them their address or something like that. Or is that a house or is it an apartment? What color is the house? It's little things that people don't think about because you're trying to really get into and understand a picture of your client, basically. So that's
Got it.
pretty much what it is.
Okay. All right. So when we look at your numbers, there's really two things that stand out, right? One is your booked meeting percentage, which is 58%. And that's from that initial call to booking a meeting. And and are yours all virtual or are they all in person?
In person. We don't. We could do. I could do a Zoom, but basically, the biggest thing that my higher ups are big on is basically building a relationship the old-fashioned way, in a way. Because nowadays people just ask for a quote on the phone, yada yada yada. First of all, that's trash way to do it, in my opinion, because you have no chance of fact finding to the best of your ability. So say you quote them this thing, underwriting comes in and says, we don't know, declines them, or even says, oh, but yeah, we're going to jack up the rates. So basically, that messes up the relationship right there, right then and there. But most
Right.
importantly, when I got hired, one of the first thing my my higher up said to me was, "Stop trying to be a salesperson. Stop walking in trying to be just a salesperson to these people. Because if you do that, you're going to build no relation, and basically business just taints when you have that kind
Hmm.
of mentality. So trying to be a friend, you ought to be the brother that they never had, in a way, or the extra brother that they never had. That's
Right.
the big thing when you go into these houses.
I like that. Okay. So if we look at your overall numbers, man, the glaring thing that we look at that you could, because your close rate is phenomenal. Your show rate is 71%, which is really good. I mean, we try to get to 80%, but that's pretty solid.
Mhm.
So is also your connect percentage is getting people on the phone, right? So what do you feel like you could do to improve that connect percentage from 6%? And that's
Yeah.
just
So
cold leads to actually getting them to pick up the phone.
yeah, I know. So some of the leads are different, right? Because some of them are fresher, some of them are older. Some of the leads I have are even before my time. So it just is what it is. But I don't have that mentality of it's not gonna work. If I see a number, I'm just gonna call it. And whatever happens, happens. So that's my thing. Sometimes I ask for more leads, but I try to work them as best as I can. But basically just getting on the phone and calling. I think that's the biggest thing. I call at different times. Basically, sometimes I call in the morning, sometimes I call at night, or evening, better yet. But I think it's just getting on the phone and calling. You never know what's going
Yeah.
to
Do
happen.
you use any type of like power dialer or anything like that, or do you use your cell phone? Like, what kind of phone do you use?
Usually, I use my cell phone. I was using the office phone for a moment. Part of it is the reason why I don't use it now is because they kind of um, put a new operation in, and basically I haven't learned it yet. But so that's the that's just my thing. But I'm the one of the reasons why I started going to the cell phone is just to change numbers. Basically, maybe they blocked that number for some odd reason, so I go to my cell number basically. So just different ways of reaching out to my prospects, reaching out to the people that I'm calling.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
but so far as right now, it's been my cell phone that I've been.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, I could share with you a couple things you can do to be able to make like 200 calls, not including double dials, like a day
All right.
versus over the course of a week, and improve your connect percentage to like 10%. Because I look right now, you're at 6%. Let's just say we doubled that. Okay. That gives you 8 clients in the week instead of 4.
Yeah,
Just changing that one conversion.
I'm all for it.
Um, yeah, so I love how you're using your cell. I we tend to try to use cell for more booked meetings. And then, do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
Yeah, because then it shows like there's an extra layer of trust for some reason with the
Yeah.
blue, when you
Oh yeah.
so we try to save that for the booked meetings. But there's a couple different tools out there. Do you use it? What CRM do you use?
So they just changed it to Zoom. They just uh, they just fixed it on the in the office. So I
You,
haven't
you
I haven't connected it just yet, but I'm probably going to do that in the future. So
but
definitely,
Zoom like the video Zoom, or you have a CRM that's called Zoom?
it's like kind of like the video, but it's not necessarily video calling. It's less. Just Zoom has its own. Zoom has like a something that's not even connected, not even tied to the internet. So basically, especially in our building, the internet is trash. But
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. However, it doesn't matter with this system. With this system, it doesn't matter basically if how trash the internet is. You can still reach who you need to reach.
Yeah.
No.
But do you use a CRM? Like, do you have like a HubSpot or a Salesforce or a Go High Level, or do you use any type of CRM where you track all the contacts that you've made and the meetings booked
Oh
and stuff?
yes, yes. So basically, you're talking about like the not interest, who said not interested, who booked appointments, or who.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do that all the time, all the
Do
time.
you have what CRM do you use? What
Um,
software do you use?
at the time, it was is Oscar. Yes, that's what it is. OSCR.
Okay. Okay. Do you still use it or no?
Yes, I still use it because
Okay.
that's
Does it
how
have
I
a
log in.
does it, yeah,
Yeah,
does it have a power dialer built into it?
it does, but then I had to fix it up because, like I said, that's where the new system came in. So I just have to reset that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about that one, but there's a couple tools out there. Like one of them's called Alloware.
Okay.
Um, and it's really not that expensive, but basically, it does the calling exactly what you're saying, the triple call, double call, single call, the text messaging.
Yeah.
But what's really powerful about it for what you do is that anytime you call any lead, it switches your phone and uses the area code that they're in.
Oh wow.
Um, I'm not affiliated with them at any point, but you can get 200 calls a day. Your connect percentage is going to get to like 10%. And, it's, you just you're basically going to 5x your activity on the
That's
front
amazing.
end.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So by looking at your numbers, like if I were to choose one next play for you moving forward, that would
Mhm.
be what I would suggest, because like, we would want to track these every week. And I think in the following week, we would want to look at your booked meeting percentage, what you're saying in that discovery. I know you're asking certain questions, but how you're asking that meeting might be a thing. But to start, I think a good next play would be to really increase the volume
Yeah.
on how you're making these calls. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I like it. Definitely a good idea. Um, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried anything like that before?
Not until I got into the industry, basically the Oscar, and at the time it
How do you
was
spell that one? How do you spell it?
OSCR. They call it Oscar. It's acronym OSCR. I don't know too much about it. Just that's what I was using.
Huh. Okay. I haven't seen this one.
It's a
Oh,
good.
it is a CRM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one.
So that's what
Okay,
we
cool.
use.
And it does have a power dialer.
Yeah.
But what was the reason for you? I can't remember. You said it. What was the reason for you not using it?
At the time, like I was using it, and then my one of my managers suggested try it on the phone, try it on your cell phone. Maybe they got tired of that number, basically. So maybe if you switch numbers, you get a more
Yeah,
contact percentage.
yeah,
Well, that was the main reason why I did, and I've just stuck to it ever since.
yeah. So this other software will solve that problem for you, and you can continue the because it'll do everything: the dialing, the texting, um, and it'll switch the numbers, so you won't be calling with the same numbers. Because like I guarantee, like the other phone might be saying spam risk, which is why your
Yes.
percentage. Like I doubt your cell phone is,
It,
but
it could be
yeah,
because
because that's a
because
killer, dude.
yeah, it is a killer, but that's what happened. I get it. You know when you get a phone call that might be some crazy dude from I don't know Bangladesh or something. You don't want to answer that phone call necessarily. So I understand the protection, but also with that comes the fact that on the agent side, it's harder to reach out somebody who probably does need insurance and probably does want to be helped by our
Yeah,
company, and I can't help them because they think it's just spam.
right. I'm gonna put this comment up here. I put it in the comments, but here's the software for everybody watching. Um, you know, I definitely highly recommend. And for you, just simplify a next play would be increase your connect percentage by using a software that's gonna use the right number, switch the number, and make your outreach much simpler. And then once we improve your connect percentage, we could start looking at your booked percentage. We're at next play, man. We're a big fan of just one play at a time every week. Let's dial
Mhm.
this in, let's get it better and move to the next one.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on that?
But it's not bad. But definitely I will take a look at them.
Cool.
But
I
I
mean, even
appreciate
if you use Oscar, go for it. If you use this one, whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it's totally up to you.
yeah. But no, I'm definitely gonna look into that. Anything to do better with, especially with the cold leads. Um,
Yeah.
I'm all
Okay,
for
cool,
it.
man. Yeah. And so you're not paying for these though, right? Your company
No,
is?
I don't. I don't pay for anything. That's,
Okay, cool.
other than business cards and resume, but that's just me investing into my own business. So
Do they cap how many leads you can get?
I haven't I haven't heard necessarily. Literally, you ask for leads, and then you get about, in some cases, 12 to 15. Maybe they're short necessarily, so you get about 8 to 10 some weeks or sometimes. So, but I haven't heard of a cap necessarily.
Yeah. Like if you asked for 100, would they give them or no?
Yeah, you tried it. No, I don't think so. You might get a lot more Medicare leads in terms of when it's AEP season. That might be a
Mhm.
different story. I do
Okay.
remember them talking about that. But in terms of basically life, usually life leads you run about 12 to 15, and then maybe Medicare leads you get about 20 to 30 come AEP season in September,
Yeah.
October.
Can you buy them on your own too or no?
I can, I just haven't. I
Okay.
can. I know a couple agents that do, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. So based on that, we talked through a couple different things. What do you feel like is going to be a good next play for you this week to get better, to
Good
get to
next
the
play.
next level
So in terms of the cold,
and getting that
definitely,
6% up?
definitely, definitely, I'll check out. definitely check out Alaware. But also, just I know part of it is the fact I am a little bit on a slump, so I want to get up this week. I haven't been doing a whole lot of calling this week, particularly that I need to get that up. But I definitely want to get my calling up. So
Okay. And how many calls do you want to make this week?
this week, yeah, if I can get around the 300 range, that'd be very good. 300 range, 400 range.
Cool.
So
And so every play has to have a what, a how, and a when. So I like it. We're going to call 300. What's the how? How are you going to make sure that you're able to get to that 300? Because you got distractions, all these other things
oh,
going
yeah.
on.
Just basically scheduling. I think that's the biggest thing that when I came into the industry, when I had a schedule of what I was going to do,
Yeah.
that's when I found myself basically thriving. My managers, they're very great in terms of seeing where I am and seeing where I want to be. I gotta when I tell you these are the greatest people to work with thus far, um, I can't stress that enough. They're always on top of you, but they want you to succeed. Everybody that I've been in contact with, you know, at least in front of me, they want me to see what they're saying behind my back. I don't know, and I really don't care.
Right.
In front of me, they show me what I'm doing wrong. They're showing me how I can improve on something like that, and it's great to have people like that on your corner and on your side. Because that's very huge and that really uplifts your spirits, knowing, especially when you're suffering and when you're struggling. The fact
Yeah.
that people are there showing you you can do it and you have the potential to do great things in this industry. That's huge.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, good. Okay, cool. Awesome, man. Well, I think we're lucky to have you on the show and just share your story and what are some of the things that you're doing, and I love your willingness to get better and improve, and yeah, I appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. And to those that are watching, I hope I've said something or something that has been said or mentioned that helps you out as well. But
Awesome.
I appreciate y'all for having me on the show today.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
Be blessed, sir.